Mjolnir, the origin, the forging and Hela's era. The very first thing you need to understand about Mjolnir is that it was never originally made for Thor, and that changes everything. Forged on Nidavellir by Dwarf King Eitri and his people at Odin's command, Mjolnir was hammered from Uru metal in the heart of a dying star. The heat was so immense that the forge nearly obliterated an entire star system. Odin placed it in his vault, but before that, his firstborn child Hela carried it in battle during Odin's centuries-long conquest of the Nine Realms. She and Mjolnir were a matched set, brutal, unstoppable, terrifying. When Odin chose peace and imprisoned Hela, he took the hammer back. Mjolnir wasn't forged for a hero. It was forged for a conqueror. That dark legacy is literally baked into the metal, and it's a shadow the MCU doesn't acknowledge until Thor Ragnarok. Mjolnir, the worthy enchantment era. Thor 2011. This is the version most fans picture when they hear the word Mjolnir, and it's the one that defined the MCU's entire concept of worthiness. Mjolnir was formally given to Thor ahead of his coronation as future king of Asgard, positioned in the ceremony as both weapon and symbol of divine right. Then Thor immediately ruins it by dragging Lady Sif and the Warriors 3 into an unauthorized invasion of Jotunheim, and Odin strips him of everything. He banishes Thor to Earth as a mortal and casts the enchantment that changes history. Whosoever holds this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor. That one line flipped Mjolnir from a weapon into a moral barometer. Thor spent the bulk of the first film genuinely unable to lift his own hammer, one of the MCU's most quietly devastating ideas. The defining moment arrives at the Battle of Puente Antiguo. Thor sacrifices himself to the destroyer to save his friends, and Mjolnir comes screaming back across the New Mexico desert, revives him, and lets him destroy the destroyer in seconds. He went from mortal to god again in the span of one catch. Mjolnir, the Avengers era. The Avengers to Age of Ultron.
You want me to put the hammer down?
The Avengers, 2012. By the time Thor shows up in The Avengers, Mjolnir is fully in its golden era, battle-tested, feared, and operating at an elite level. Thor clashes it against Cap's shield in the German forest, creating a shockwave that wipes out hundreds of meters of trees. During the Battle of New York, he channels enough lightning through it to take down an entire Chitauri wave in a single strike. But Age of Ultron's party scene is where Mjolnir has its most famous non-combat moment. The Avengers take turns trying to lift it, Tony with Iron Man's gauntlet assist, Rhodes in full armor, even Hulk, and nobody moves it. Cap budges it slightly, which visibly rattles Thor. Then Vision picks it up casually and hands it back. Thor's face says everything. By the Battle of Sokovia, Thor and Cap are literally using Mjolnir and the shield as a railgun. Thor hammering the deflected shield at Ultron sentries like a supersonic disc. This is Mjolnir at its most tactically evolved. Then Ragnarok happens. Mjolnir destroyed. Thor Ragnarok 2017. Mjolnir's final battle is one of the most shocking weapon deaths in MCU history, and it's over in 15 seconds. After Odin's death in Norway, Hela materializes out of the darkness. Thor does what Thor does. He throws Mjolnir. Hela catches it with one hand, and then she crushes it like it's made of glass. The fragments rain down over a Norwegian cliff, and that's it. 5 films. One of cinema's most iconic weapons. Gone. The cruelty of the moment is the symmetry. The weapon that was forged in her era of conquest is destroyed by her. Hela didn't just beat Thor, she closed a loop. But Ragnarok reframes the whole thing through Odin's dying words. That hammer was to help you control your power, to focus it. It was never your source of strength. Mjolnir was never the source. It was training wheels for a god. Its destruction forces Thor to access the full power of the thunder god he always was beneath the mythology. And what comes next is purpose-built to kill Thanos. Stormbreaker, Avengers Infinity War 2018. Stormbreaker is everything Mjolnir was, plus a Bifrost portal, plus a blade, plus no restrictions on who can swing it. And it nearly ends the entire Infinity War storyline by itself. After Thanos tears through the Avengers with the gauntlet, Thor, Rocket, and Groot travel to Nidavellir to forge the one weapon capable of stopping him. Eitri, the last surviving dwarf, is the only one left alive, and he lays it out plainly. A king's weapon, meant to be the greatest in Asgard. In theory, it could even summon the Bifrost. Stormbreaker is a direct upgrade on Mjolnir in almost every measurable way. Where Mjolnir was a short-handled warhammer designed for Thor's close-range fighting style, Stormbreaker is an axe-hammer hybrid with an elongated handle built for two-handed combat. It amplifies Thor's lightning far beyond what Mjolnir ever achieved. It can summon the Bifrost independently, making Thor a one-man portal system. And unlike Mjolnir, it carries no worthiness enchantment. Raw strength is enough. The forging nearly kills Thor. He manually holds open a neutron star ring to restart Nidavellir's forge, taking a solar beam to the chest that would obliterate anything lesser. Groot finishes it by severing his own arm as the handle. Thor arrives in Wakanda and drives Stormbreaker through Thanos' chest, overpowering all 6 Infinity Stones in the process.
I told you. You die for that.
Thanos still snaps, because Thor aimed for the chest, the most powerful weapon ever forged, and it wasn't enough by one targeting error. Mjolnir, Avengers Endgame, 2019.
Still worthy.
By Endgame, Thor is 5 years into depression in New Asgard. Then the time heist sends him back to alternate 2013 Asgard, and there's Mjolnir, sitting in his old home. He reaches out, it flies straight to his hand, and you feel every one of those 5 years of doubt vanish in a single second. Back in the present, Thor dual-wields Mjolnir and Stormbreaker simultaneously against alternate Thanos, something we'd never seen before, and it's as devastating as it sounds. But the moment that breaks the internet belongs to Steve Rogers, who uses Mjolnir to pin Thanos with lightning from the sky while Thor watches in pure disbelief.
No, give me that. You have the little one.
The worthiness concept, planted back in 2012's party scene, finally paid off fully here. 13 years of careful setup landing in a single hammer catch. This version of Mjolnir was an alternate timeline weapon, and Rogers returned it to 2013 at the film's close. Mighty Thor's Mjolnir. Thor, Love and Thunder, 2022. Nobody saw this version coming, and it might be the most emotionally complex weapon in the entire MCU. Years before Love and Thunder, Thor had quietly made a personal promise to Mjolnir that it would always protect Jane Foster if her life was ever in danger. That enchantment lay dormant inside the shattered fragments on display in New Asgard, until Jane, newly diagnosed with terminal cancer, was drawn to them. The fragments flew together, Mjolnir rebuilt itself, and Jane Foster became the mighty Thor. This reconstructed version carries a brand new capability that the original never had. It can shatter into its component fragments mid-flight and use them as simultaneous projectiles before reassembling in the wielder's hand. That's a direct combat upgrade over the original's blunt force design. The tragedy is built into the function. Every time Jane transforms into the mighty Thor, Mjolnir's power actively fights her cancer. The enchantment keeping her alive in the armor is simultaneously preventing her body from fighting back. She knows it. She picks it up anyway, one final time at the gates of eternity, to save Thor's life against Gore the God Butcher. When she dies, Mjolnir stays behind. Thor picks it up, and for the first time since 2017, he's holding his hammer again. Mjolnir and Stormbreaker. The Passing of the Torch. Thor, Love and Thunder, 2022. After Jane's death, Thor has both hammers for the first time in his life, and he doesn't keep them both. In the final moments of Love and Thunder, Thor passes Stormbreaker to Love, the daughter of Gore, the God Butcher, resurrected by eternity and gifted with raw cosmic power that rivals anything in the MCU. Love wields Stormbreaker, which, remember, has no worthiness lock, with terrifying instinct, and Thor reclaims Mjolnir as his own, a child with the most powerful axe ever forged, an ancient king with his reforged hammer, side by side. The symmetry here is worth pausing on. Mjolnir was passed from Odin to Hela to Thor, then to Jane, then back to Thor. Stormbreaker was forged for Thor, earned through sacrifice, and passed forward to Love. That's the arc. Weapons built for conquest and warfare, slowly becoming instruments of protection and inheritance. Thor enters his next chapter, and potentially Avengers Doomsday, with Mjolnir in hand and Love at his side. Let me know in the comments which version of Thor's hammer is your favorite. Hit like and subscribe for more MCU videos.